sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
The Indians are back in Cleveland for a brief three-game homestand against the Astros, who they have won 6 straight against. A series win is vital as the Tribe is heading into a 13-game stretch throughout the AL Central commencing on Tuesday. To win the series, it's always important to take Game 1, and they have the right man on the mound in Carlos Carrasco, who looks for his 3rd straight victory, next on Sports Time Ohio. Back home in Cleveland, the Indians, one of the best home records in baseball. They'll open up a brief 3-game homestand tonight against the Houston Astros. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Only the Angels and the A's have won more games at home in the American League this year than the Cleveland Indians. Houston Astros, on the other hand, they bring the fewest number of road wins into Progressive Field tonight throughout the AL. And yet, Rick, on this current road trip, they won 2 in Boston. They won 2 out of 3 in New York, so they're playing a little bit better away from home. Carlos Carrasco gets the start tonight for the Tribe. Since coming out of the bullpen, he's won 2 straight and hasn't even given up a run yet.
It looks like a different guy coming out of that bullpen. It must have given him a different mindset, Matt, because he is throwing strikes. He's keeping the ball down. He's commanding all 3 pitches. That tight slurve right there with a good low sinking fastball and a changeup. He's been very, very good. No walks. That's the key right there. He's making the guys put the ball in play. Only 5 hits in his 12 innings. He has done everything he has to do, and I think he really wants to stay in that starting role.
Game 1 ultimately very important in a 3-game series. When the Indians win Game 1 this year, they've won all but 1 series. We'll see if they can get off to a good start. It's the Tribe and the Astros, and the play-by-play is coming up next.
All is brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's. Get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And a beautiful evening in downtown Cleveland. Indians and Astros getting ready for this 3-game series. Tribe takes the field behind right-hander Carlos Carrasco. Indians have won 7 of their last 10 despite dropping the series finale to the Twins yesterday. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Bo Porter's Houston Astros that Carlos Carrasco will face here tonight. Robbie Grossman is the leadoff man. Jose Altuve leading the league in batting average and stolen bases. Then it's Chris Carter with 30 homers on the year. Dexter Fowler bats cleanup, followed by Jason Castro. Marwin Gonzalez in the 6th spot. John Singleton 7th. Matt Dominguez 8th. And right fielder Jake Marisnick will bat 9th.
And our GMC starting pitcher, Carlos Carrasco, coming out making his third consecutive start, his 7th on the year. Carrasco very good in his last 2, his 12 innings, 5 hits, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about that. In his 36 outs that he got in his last 2 starts, 18 of those outs have come on 3 pitches or less. So he's been out there pounding the strike zone. No walks is the big key for Carlos. He's kept it down in the zone. He's been very good. Let's hope that continues tonight. Let's take a look at the defense behind him. That's brought to you by Kia. In the outfield, it'll be Brantley in left, Borners in center, Dickerson over in right, Chisenhall at third, Ramirez at short, Kipnis is at second, Santana at first, Perez doing the catching. Gomes is day-to-day.
Gary Cederstrom is your crew chief. He'll call the balls and strikes, and the base umpires you see there. Houston comes in 20 games under 500. But they're not in last place. That distinction belongs to the Texas Rangers, who are 4 games below Houston in the AL West. The Astros, tell you one thing, Rick, the record is what it is, as the saying goes. But you look at them from an offensive standpoint, this is an improving ball club that can hurt you if you make mistakes.
Yeah, they've been scoring a lot since the All-Star break. They've been hitting some home runs, and they've got their best player, Springer, who's on the disabled list. Unfortunately, you don't get a chance to see him in this series.
Carlos Carrasco began the year out of the bullpen, or actually began the year as a starter, and then went to the bullpen and turned the season around. And since he's come back to the starting rotation, though, he still works out of the stretch.
Out of the stretch, which is fine. And you look up again, 0-2 count. 0-2 count, 1-2 counts. He's been doing that a lot.
And he's been getting a lot of outs on 3 pitches or less.
18 of his 36.
Up high with that fastball.
You know, this is just like a new life or a second chance, if you want to call it that, for Carrasco. He went to Francona. He wanted a chance to get back into their rotation, knowing that there was a spot open. And, boy, if that door opens, jump through it. Don't give him an opportunity.
Throw it right by him with a good fastball at 99 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen one at 99 yet from Carrasco.
I've seen it at 98, but I'll tell you, nice, free and easy.
Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Houston, as we mentioned, has been scoring a lot of runs, and since the All-Star break, they're number 1 in the American League. Jose Altuve. Altuve leading the league with a .336 batting average. And Altuve, even though he's kind of been the face of this team while they've remade themselves in the last couple of years, he's still just 24 years old.
Boy, he's having a terrific year.
And these are the 2 youngest teams in baseball in terms of their current roster. When you talk about the guys that you'll see in the series right now, the Astros
have 20 days on the Indians. They're number 1. The Indians are number 2 in terms of youthfulness. The 2-1 pitch outside.
Altuve, 53 multi-hit games. Leads the league in stolen bases, 46. You talk about an igniter. 33 doubles. He's had a terrific year.
Bullseye, good fastball in there, full count. Only 29 walks. He doesn't walk a lot. Now the payoff pitch. But he walks here, just off the outside corner. And a one-out base runner for Houston. Our keys to the game are brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Indians, when they score early, have been a different animal this year. They play much better from in front. And as we showed you a moment ago with the way the Astros are scoring, keep them in the yard.
Well, this is the one guy you want to keep in the yard, Carter, who has 30 home runs for him. He's pretty much an all-or-nothing guy. He has a lot of holes in that strike zone. You can attack him, you will get the strikeout, but you make a mistake, he can hit him a long way. He can hit him into a different county.
30 homers as a team in their last 22 games. Carter's certainly a guy who has had his share. Fastball a little bit high. 1-1. Since the 4th of July, he's hit 17, wow. Driven in 42.
Yeah, well, that's how the home run hitters do it. The real power hitters, they get on runs and they can hit them for a while. And he has been on a tear.
Carrasco missed inside, and the count 2 balls and a strike. Yan Gomes still missing from the Indians lineup. He left yesterday's game. Erroneously, we were told it was illness. Turned out it was a concussion symptoms, and they're keeping him out, looking at him in a day-to-day situation.
Yeah, the earliest I think he could play is what, Sunday, I believe? Or they want to play him Sunday, as far as starting goes.
And, you know, that could change, Rick, if in the next day or two they don't like what they see. They could opt to put him on the 7-day concussion DL. Hopefully, though, he improves rapidly, and we will see him back in there very soon.
%43% of Carter's at-bats are either home run or strikeout. So that's when you call a all or nothing. Good pitch. Now, I'm watching Altuve. He has 46 stolen bases. I'm thinking to myself, you know, if you make him stop, he's not getting a big lead like he's trying to run. He must be one of those guys that gets that walking lead, and you got to make him stop.
Takes off here. Carter pops it back out of play. Too close to take for Carter. And he stays alive. But you're right, that time Carrasco never made him stop. He was inching off, and just kept on going.
Yeah, there's certain guys that they like to do that. Omar Vizquel was like that, who gets that lead. He just keeps inching off till he gets a time, and then they take off. Other guys get that lead, and they start from their stance, their wide stance. There you go. Hold it.
Swing and a miss. Carter strikes out. 2 down as Carrasco is fanned a pair here in the first. Good off-speed pitch that time from Carrasco.
Check this out on our Nissan pitch tracker. That's that little slurve now. The thing I like about that pitch, he used to throw the hard slider, and he had a tough time commanding that pitch. Now he takes a little more off of it, and he can drop it in the strike zone. He can keep it down in the strike zone, and it keeps that hitter off of his hard stuff.
Here is Dexter Fowler. When healthy, Fowler can be an exciting player. But he's missed a lot of time this year on the disabled list. And he takes its ball one.
Yeah, I looked at this lineup today, and I mean, I haven't really been following the Astros closely, but I looked at Fowler hitting in the number 4 hole. I remember he was like a leadoff guy.
Yeah. Well, you just look at him. I mean, he's built like an outfielder. Guy who can run.
Well, tall, skinny, and that's where he used to hit, lead off. And he can be impactful up in that first spot, but he's hitting 4th. He has 27 ribbies and 7 homers, but obviously he knows his players a lot better than I do.
Outside corner, a called strike. Fowler this year missing 40 games due to a right intercostal strain. He was out the end of June till just about 10 days ago. 1-1 pitch. Fouled back. Carrasco ready with a 1-2.
There he
Runner
goes.
goes, swing and a high pop. On the infield, back goes Kipnis. And the second baseman makes the catch. The inning is over. Carlos Carrasco strikes out a pair, and the Indians are coming to bat when we come back. First inning, let's take a look at Terry Francona's starting lineup. It's brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourne leading it off, followed by Jose Ramirez. Then Michael Brantley bats third. Carlos Santana will hit cleanup. Jason Kipnis batting fifth. Zach Walters coming off a very productive series against the Twins. Then it's Lonnie Chisenhall, Chris Dickerson, and Roberto Perez.
GMC starting pitcher Brad Peacock. It'll be his 19th major league start tonight. He came out of the bullpen early. He was recalled from AAA on August 6th. His third turn in the rotation since then. Roughed up in Boston in his last start, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 6 runs. And
a strike is called.
55 walks in his 102 innings, 89 strikeouts.
Fouled back. Bourne in the hole 0-2. Bourne with a hit in 3 straight games, all 3 of the games played in Minnesota. And a foul back. This year, Bourne has batted .284 against right-handed pitching. Though he's behind in the counts of Peacock, 1-2. Fastball really took off on him. And another foul back. Mentioned before, Houston brings the fewest number of road wins in the American League into tonight's game. Breaking ball and a good one. Got him looking. Peacock strikes out Bourne, 1 away. Let's go down to Katie Witham, who has some information on Brad Peacock's first inning road woes this year.
Yeah, most of his struggles all season long at home and on the road, Matt, come in this inning, the first one. So much, in fact, that he has a .675 ERA. So what Houston's done to try to combat that is to get him out in the bullpen early. They've lengthened out his warm-up so he almost simulates a first inning before he comes into the game. But I ask you guys up there, is this the moment when the Indians need to jump on him?
Well, I mean, in his 3 road starts since the All-Star break, he hasn't lasted longer than 5 innings. So I don't know that it's imperative you get him right away.
No.
But you certainly want to see what he has, and you want to try to make him work.
I think it's a mindset. You see a lot of pitchers go through it, and even some good starters. You know, they get out there for whatever reason, and, you know, if they don't get off to a good start, it happens to give up. It'd be nice to get a base runner early and see how he does from the stretch early, but you're going to have your time to get him. They've never faced him before.
Jose Ramirez taking a strike, 2-1. Line up the middle into center field, a base hit.
Now we'll see. Get him out of the stretch.
Wendy slow-mo replay, and you watch Jose Ramirez just take it right back through the box.
That's the way to do it, baby. Right back up the middle. Hit it right where it comes from. He stayed back, got on top of the ball, line drive to center field.
We'll see if a return to familiar surroundings gets Michael Brantley back on track. 0 for his last 10 during that series in Minnesota, but he's batted .350 this year in Cleveland. Breaking ball for a strike. A little bit high with it, 1-1. I mean, you always look at numbers in baseball and you wonder sometimes are they relative to, are they relevant to what the player's doing in this year, or is it just flukish? It's just one of those years. We look at home and road splits a lot with players, whether it be the Indians. Let's take Michael Brantley, for example, who's having a phenomenal year. But his batting average is almost 100 points different, left-handed versus right-handed. He's hit much better at home as opposed to on the road. So, you know, are those relevant to the overall type of player he is, or?
No, this isn't like a lot of people talk about what Colorado numbers at home, and on the road. No, Brantley's he's to me the same guy no matter where he plays.
I bring it up because Brad Peacock this year, Rick, has the 4th highest earned run average on the road of any starter in baseball this year. He's also given up more homers per 9 innings than any other starter in baseball this year on the road. So, I mean, are those real numbers in terms of he's just not comfortable pitching as a young player in road games, or is it just simply an overall picture of what he's done this season?
Different environments. I don't know. I haven't seen him pitch. This is the first time I've ever had a chance to see him pitch.
Just missed there. And a full count.
He thought he had a pitch right there that he wanted called a strike. There you'll see the splits. 1 and 5 in his 8 games.
Almost 2 full runs different.
Well, there's a lot of young guys. Look at Bauer. He's the same, home and road, over 2 runs on the road. Maybe younger guys, it takes a while to acclimate themselves to different ballparks, comfort zones. Not sure.
Runner goes, and Brantley socks one to center field. Dexter Fowler runs it down. And that's going to be an easy double play to end the inning eventually. That'll do it. We've played 1, no score. Your Northern Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. No score as we go to the 2nd inning. And for the Astros, Jason Castro, Marwin Gonzalez, and John Singleton are due up. Upstairs, ball 1. Jason Castro was a first-round pick 6 years ago. He was the 10th overall selection by the Astros. Just 2 years later, made his major league debut. Just missing that time inside. Unfortunately, like a lot of young players, he's had to overcome some injuries. He missed the entire 2011 season. He was trying to avoid a tag at first base in a spring training game. And he had reconstructive knee surgery. Swing and a miss, 2-2. And after missing all of 2011, he came back in 2012, played in 87 games. That at 257 last year. That average zoomed up to 276, and he hit 18 homers. Driving in 56. The former Stanford product. Was an all-star last year. Twice as the player of the week in the American League. And I'll tell you what, Carlos Carrasco picking up where he's left off in his previous 2 starts. That's his 3rd strikeout already. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Well, it's not good news for the Angels, but you didn't figure it was going to be.
Yeah.
Garrett Richards will miss the rest of the year, and I think if everything goes well, he should be back early part of next season.
Yeah, unfortunate. The kind of year they were having, he was their number 1 guy. You certainly did not want to lose him, of course, but that's unfortunate for them. They're in a big series tonight with the Oakland A's because they have a 2-game lead over Oakland.
Marwin Gonzalez. Big chopper to second base. Jason Kipnis will throw him out, 2 down. Don't forget to tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have your picture shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Here is 22-year-old John Singleton. He'll be 23 in just about a month. He was an 8th-round pick of the Phillies in 2009. Came to Houston in the Hunter Pence trade in 2011 at the trade deadline. Wow, what was wrong with that? Other than it was right down the middle of the plate.
Look at it, he's smiling out there. Let's take a look and see. It's too good. Can't call that a strike.
What in the world
too good.
is going on? Pop back out of play. Rick, a lot of people feel like John Singleton is a can't miss. I mean, he was rated as the top first base prospect in baseball by MLB.com and Baseball Prospectus. But as we all know, you got to prove it here.
Yeah, you can be touted and everybody can heap all the praise on you they want until you get up to the big leagues and prove it. It's a different thing.
Terry Francona wants to see Carrasco set him down 1-2-3 here in the second. And a pop back out of play. Singleton stays alive. Punched him out on a pitch over the outside corner. 4 strikeouts for Carrasco in the first 2 innings. No score middle of the second.
Astros defense tonight, brought to you by Kia. In the outfield, it's going to be Grossman in left, Fowler in center, Marisnick in right. It'll be Dominguez at third, Gonzalez at short, Altuve at second, Singleton at first, Castro behind the plate.
Carlos Santana will lead off here in the bottom of the second. And Brad Peacock's pitch is up high for ball 1. Peacock was a 41st round pick by the Washington Nationals back in 06. He's what they called a draft and follow. They actually drafted him thinking he would be a catcher. Played mostly shortstop in high school. And he caught a little bit as well. But when he went to Palm Beach Community College, he became a pretty good pitcher. And thus, that's where the path he chose once the Nationals got him into their system. But he's been involved already in 2 pretty big trades. Washington traded him to Oakland in the Gio Gonzalez deal, along with Derek Norris and Tommy Malone.
Okay.
And then Oakland spun him to Houston, along with Chris Carter in the Jed Lowry deal.
Lowry's filled out well for Oakland, although he's on the disabled list now.
Jason Kipnis with 1 out here in the second inning. Takes a low fastball, 1-1. Kip has hit in 6 straight games. Takes that up high. Popped him up here on the infield. Matt Dominguez, 2 down. Our great clip of the game, how about Zach Walters in his last 2 games? He's hit 2 home runs. That was a monster shot into the upper tank at Target Field, and this was a game-tying solo blast off Phil Hughes.
Yeah, his home runs have meant something when he's hit them. They're all solo shots, but at the right time.
He's DHing once again here tonight. Saw him taking Ground balls at shortstop earlier today, and I know the Indians want to get into a game at that shortstop position. He played a few games in left. Mostly he has DH'd, but I know they want to see him at shortstop as well. Swing and a miss. Good breaking ball, and it's 0-2. And he pops him up. Another one on the infield. Gonzalez, the shortstop, takes it. The Indians go 1-2-3, and we are scoreless through 2. And as we welcome you back, time to introduce Jake Westbrook for our Hear Right Audiology sounds of the game. Back here in Cleveland. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Long time no see.
I know, it's been a while.
Great career, obviously, with the Cleveland Indians. Went on to St. Louis, won a world championship. And what made you decide to, okay, I've had enough, that's it?
Well, it was, the grind of another year was tough. The offers really weren't flying in either. So it was just time, time to be home.
13 years, and that's a long time.
Yeah, it was. I had a good career, had a good run, and it was a lot of fun. And now it's time to be home with the family. I got 4 kids, and wife Heather. So it's good. I know they're happy for me to be home, and I'm glad to be there.
People don't understand. Sometimes your body tells you, "Hey, it's enough." It's a young man's game, isn't it?
Right. Oh, no question. As you can see, with all those young guys out there today. But yeah, I mean, just the last couple of years just got to be, a grind of, the day in, day out, routine of the game. And, it was something I battled through. I still wanted to keep doing it, but it's just kind of one of those things.
Carlos Carrasco delivers a 1-2 pitch. He's got another strikeout. He's fan 5 already here tonight. First time through the order, and the 9th batter will be Jake Marisnick coming up now.
Again, he's going to get it with his slurve that he's tightened up and taken a little bit off, and it's right down the middle. So strikeout number 5.
Rick mentioned something before you came in, and he was remembering back your career, and it was in the 2004 season when you were kind of bouncing between starting, relieving, and there was a game against Detroit early in the season. You came out of the bullpen, fired off 7 perfect innings, 21 up, 21 down. got a start right after that against the same team.
Right.
Went complete game, gave up 2 runs, got the win, and really cemented your position as a starter. What happened in that transitional period for you?
Well, I mean, I always came up as a starter, and then to get the opportunity to be in the big leagues as a long reliever was great. Just kind of waiting my turn, waiting for that opportunity, and that was my opportunity at that time when we had that rain delay, and then came in and I threw the ball so well, and then got an opportunity to start right after that and threw the ball well. So that was just me kind of taking advantage of that opportunity and running with it, and I was a starter ever since.
You know, Carrasco's in the same boat that we have right now. You were a pitch-to-contact guy, a sinker baller, and you wanted to try and get outs on 3 pitches or less.
Right.
He's been like a different guy in his last 2 starts, and we're thinking maybe that bullpen has really changed his mindset as coming out and being a lot more aggressive.
Well, definitely in the bullpen, you can't mess around. You can't get behind guys. You can't walk guys. You can't do any of that stuff. You really can't do that as a starter either, but definitely out of the bullpen when the game's on the line. But I didn't throw 97 to 99 either. So,
it would help, wouldn't it?
It would have been a lot nicer. But, he's got unbelievable stuff and a great arm. But, it's just that mentality of going right after guys, trusting your stuff in the strike zone. That was the biggest thing for me was to just trust what I had. I mean, I wasn't a flamethrower by any means, but I had good movement and just to trust that movement in the zone. Let them hit on the ground and let your defense work behind you.
Well, you had natural sync to it. I mean, guys would kill for the movement that you have. You don't have to throw 90. You can get outs at 88 to 90 with the ball sinking.
Right, and it took me a long time to realize that. And just kind of my ego just wouldn't let me just go right after guys. I tried to, to be the Greg Maddux and dot the corners, and I realized real fast I wasn't Greg Maddux. So I just needed to trust my stuff and go right after guys.
I also remember a game you had in Boston, Fenway Park. I believe you issued maybe 13 or 15 hits. Still got the win in that ball game?
Yeah, I think so. I think I gave up 15 hits, and I think we won like
15 hits and still got a win. Think
7,
about it.
Yeah.
In Fenway Park. That's hard to do.
But seeing eye singles, you gave up a few of those, and you were okay with that.
No question. Yeah, I give up my share of hits, no question, but I'm also one pitch away from getting a double play and getting out of an inning and keeping a team in the ball game. And that's pretty much what I did that game, was just kind of kept us in it.
I remember that
rolling
game
inning after inning.
Never see games like that. That was unbelievable. You also filled your position well.
Right.
I mean, you'd have a lot of balls hit back up the middle, but you were a defender. As soon as you let it go, you were a great fielding pitcher. Never won a Gold Glove, did you?
Second, 1 year.
Okay, there you go.
But my mechanics allowed me to.
Is that the bronze glove then? What do you get for second place?
You get
Hang with them.
You get the first loser award, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's tough to unseat a pitcher that's been there, because you know how the Gold Glove goes. It goes.
Well, Greg Maddux won, 15 of them?
14 or 15, something like that.
Yeah, he's won more than
anybody. I think Kenny Rogers won it that year. I finished second.
Kenny Rogers has won it a number of times.
Right.
That's the first hit, by the way. Just a little infield hit. But the Astros have a one-out base runner as we turn it back over now to the top of the order. Jake, the experience you had in the bullpen, is that one of those things, as you look back on it now with hindsight, having looked at your whole career, do you think maybe every pitcher at some point should have to do a stint in the bullpen just to maybe further clarify what the pitching coach is trying to teach them all the time?
Well, I mean, the way that these young guys are coming up and throwing, if you're a starter and you come up and you're having the success that these guys are having coming out the chute as a starter, I mean, that's fine. But those guys that are kind of, need that time to kind of continue on with their, maturization and just get the things that they need to get done. Like you said, working with a pitching coach down there, tweaking a few things here and there, and also getting acclimated to the big leagues. And that was the biggest thing, I think, for me. It's just a little overwhelmed my first start in the big leagues with the Yankees, and it showed. And to get traded over here to Cleveland and get that time as a long reliever, kind of get my feet wet, not come in high pressure situations as a long relief guy, and it really helped me a lot mentally and just kind of just getting my feet wet.
We always talk about one of the things that's beneficial for pitchers going to the bullpen is the camaraderie. It's its own unit, its own group out there. And you guys watch the game together. You're talking the game. But, Jake, when you were a starter down there in the dugout, the starters all sit together. You guys are doing the same thing over here as they are in the bullpen, aren't you?
Right. It's
just a different group.
Two different fraternities within one fraternity as pitchers. So, they have their own deal, and the starters have our own. We had our own deal, but collectively as a staff, you're still going out there doing the same goal because it's just different mindsets.
Yeah.
As a starter, you're trying to finish the game and then go as long as you can and keep your team in it. And as a bullpen guy, you're coming in wanting to put up zeros.
Ball popped loose, and Marisnik goes down a second.
What do you think of the specialty of the bullpens now, the matchups? Because now they carry 8 relievers coming out of there. And as a starter, your mindset can't change. You want to finish what you start to begin with, right?
No question. Yeah, every time I took the mound, that was my goal, was to, find a way to keep my pitch count down, have quick innings, get deep in the ball game and give us a chance to win. And I was able to do that a few times, but like I said, it gets down late in the game, and you got your pitch count up a little bit, and they're going to bring in the guy that's going to, best, face that guy.
One of my favorite years in the big leagues as an announcer, even though the team didn't get to the playoffs, was 05, just because that was such a fun team to watch. And I think we literally watched CC Sabathia grow up overnight, Cliff Lee to a certain degree, and a lot of it had to do with Kevin Millwood and the influence and the impact he had on all of you guys as a staff. What do you remember about that year?
Well, it was when you mentioned Kevin Millwood, I think he had he
won the ERA title.
9 wins or something like that,
won
the ERA title. So, but he just kept going out there. He kept going out there pitching and doing his thing, and had a great year. And we all kind of fed off of him a little bit. And CC, like I said, he was unbelievable that year again, and it was a fun year.
You had a chance to go play probably in the best city in the National League when it comes to baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals winning a world championship, and we were talking starters. Pitch with a guy like Wainwright. I always watch when those guys are there. You're always talking baseball.
Right.
It's sort of fun to watch. Did you learn a lot from him over there?
Oh, no question. Him and Chris Carpenter as well.
Yeah.
When I got over there, it was and they do things right over there as far as starters go. You get over there and it's not just one guy throwing a bullpen. It's one guy throwing a bullpen with all the other starters sitting back there watching. So,
oh wow,
all a part of it.
Yeah, all a part of it. So if you're throwing a bullpen, all the other starters are out there watching it, and that way they can, watch how you go about your business in your bullpen. Maybe pick up some things that maybe if you're tipping pitches or things like that, they can see all that too, and they can notice that stuff in the dugout.
That's
interesting because they watched all their bullpens. And I thought that was awesome.
That is interesting.
And and if I were a pitching coach, I'd definitely make my guys do it as well.
Apart because you guys are a unit.
You're already so close. So you might as well go out there and you just make a point to get all your stuff done before that guy's bullpen starts, or get it done afterwards, and it's just on the schedule.
Yeah.
Wainwright has a bullpen at 3:30 or whatever.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
That's amazing, because if you're sitting in there, you would love to have another pitcher come up to you, a player, and say, "Hey, I saw this. You may be tipping this or doing that." It's not your pitching coach; it's another pitcher telling you.
Right, because they see all that stuff too.
And I think that would mean more to you as a player. It's like a guy, if you're hitting and you got one of your players coming up saying, "Hey, watch your back shoulder," or something like that.
Right.
Now you'll pay attention maybe a little bit more. That's a really interesting point.
When I got over there, Chris Carpenter found a couple things that I was doing about tipping my pitches and things like that, and it's just small things that he sees, and they just focus on little things like that try to do everything they can to make you a better pitcher.
When you think back to that 05 team in particular, could you have foreseen at that time a couple of guys would win Cy Youngs, World Championships, big free agent contracts? Could you have foreseen what was down the road for that group? Well,
you never can foresee what your future is, but you can see how they went about their business and how hard they worked, and the potential was definitely there for that to happen. And if you would have asked me when I got drafted that I would play 13 years in the big leagues, I would have said,
yeah.
Where do I sign up?
I'll take up. Yeah, right.
So it's just one of those things.
Grounded to third. Chisenhall throws him out to end the inning. Great catching up with you, Jake.
Yeah, great to be here.
In
Thanks for having me, guys.
Former Indians pitcher Jake Westbrook with us. Carlos Carrasco throws up another 0, and we remain scoreless. Middle of the third. Tune later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bottom third of the Indians' order due up here. Lonnie Chisenhall, Chris Dickerson, and Roberto Perez. And Brad Peacock misses a little bit low, ball one. Dating back to last year, the Indians have won 6 straight over the Astros. One of the reasons, Houston has committed 7 errors in those 6 games, and the Indians not 1. And the fact that the Indians have done well in the clutch. 23 hits with runners in scoring position in those 6 wins. Houston has 4.
Well, I remember one game back in Houston last year. Then they pounded them early on a Scott Kazmir start. What'd they score, about 18 runs?
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is, most of the games were not like that. That was the one that was a rout, but most of those games last year were actually very close. When they came here in September, Rick, they won back-to-back games 2-1. One was in 11 innings. One was a rain-shortened 7-inning game. Then they beat them 4-1. And the last time they beat them was 9-2. And then you go back to earlier in the year in Houston. They lost the first game of the series 3-2, beat them 19-6, won 5-4, won 3-2.
And the reason I bring that 19-6 game up is because Kazmir, he was coming out making his start from Texas. Kluber came in relief of that ball game for him, and he ended up starting in the rotation after that point. Now, if you remember it. Because Kazmir couldn't get the win, and Kluber came in and pitched well. And that was his breakthrough point. And it's sort of strange because Kluber was here because of Jake Westbrook going to St. Louis.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's pretty
odd sense of irony to all of that. Now, the thing that I'll always remember about Jake Westbrook was steady and consistent. Until, unfortunately, he went through the injury and the Tommy John surgery and had to miss that whole year and come back. But, before that, and even once he finally got over that and came back again healthy, just steady, consistent, pound the zone with the sinkers. And it was interesting to hear him talk about how it took him a while. It took him a while to get over his own ego to just say,
believe.
Just trust it, just throw it.
How many times do you hear it telling the kids, trust your stuff? Throw strikes. I mean, the hitters, don't be too fine. You've got 9 fielders behind you. Pitch to contact. And, when the light goes off, and sometimes it takes guys longer to learn that than other guys.
Well, and Rick, sometimes people hear that and they think, they're talking about walking. He's walking too many guys. It's not just walking guys. It's 2-1, 3-1, always behind in the count. Counts, hitters get rich on those counts.
Yeah, go 0-0 and 1-1. Throw your strikes. Be aggressive in those 2 counts. To me, the 0-0, 1-1 counts, that gets you ahead, and then you can expand as opposed to the hitters get more discipline and they lay off good pitches.
And we've seen it with Carlos Carrasco, the big difference, pitching ahead in the count.
It's a very good example. He's had opportunities. We've been watching him for 5 years, other than he did have the surgery, and he missed his time as well. Maybe the light's gone off. Maybe he sees it. His stuff is still good enough. It's unfortunate because you're thinking, man, you've had that arm for a long time.
Well, it's funny, too, because with Jake Westbrook sitting up here, it caught his eye. He said, I didn't throw 97 or 99 miles an hour. So most pitchers see what Carlos Carrasco features and say, well, I'd kill to have that kind of.
Well, yeah, you'd kill because now you had to think about how you got to where you were at. Yes, he did.
They appeal. He went around, says first base umpire Mark Ripperger, and the inning is over. Brad Peacock goes through the Indians lineup the first time through, gives up just 1 hit, strikes out a pair, no score through 3. Fourth inning, still no score. For Houston, it'll be Chris Carter, Dexter Fowler, and Jason Castro. As Carlos Carrasco has given up just one hit. He's walked one, and he has struck out 5. We're joined now by former Indians power hitting designated hitter Travis Hafner. Threw out the first pitch tonight. Nice job. You got off the rubber and everything.
I made it all the way to home plate. I was pumped about that.
Yeah, we're going from the pitching. Now we go to the offensive side of the baseball.
I think it's been about 7 years since I threw a ball, so I was a little nervous.
We were wondering when the last time. When was the last time you played a game defensively?
2007.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. Was that an interleague deal?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right. So now, what's keeping you busy these days? I know you're enjoying retirement.
Yeah, it's been great. Like, we've had a really good time just, hanging out with my wife, Amy, and Blake and Tripp. They're 4-2. Blake was his first year of baseball this year, so I think I get more nervous watching that than I do when I was playing myself. So we practice all the time, and that was awesome. I love that. Me and Amy went to Italy for a week together. That was a good time. And Tripp, man, he keeps me busy just by himself.
Oh, I can imagine. Let's take a look at that first pitch now. Let's go back to the replay and do a little analysis here.
Now, did you know TJ House at all? He's catching it.
Easy cheese.
Yeah, he came in and asked for a sponge so he could put it in his glove and he didn't hurt his hand.
I tell you what, if you're hitting, you're not catching up to that. Right above the belt.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, it wasn't long ago where you were in cahoots and texting Matt back and forth when we were talking about the last cycle hit. We were in Minnesota right after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And we had that rolling, man.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
Was that the best double you've ever seen?
Smoke that double on that turf.
It's not very often that the pitcher jumps for your double. Little chopper, he jumps for it. Two infielders come, they about collide.
Yeah, but a cycle's a cycle.
Yep.
No matter how you look at it, no matter how you shape it, it's the toughest thing to do, I think, offensively.
Fly ball, center field, Bourne coming in. So, Travis, you feel like, did you squeeze everything out of your career? Were you able to walk away and say, okay, I'm good, I've had enough? Or is there still part of you that's saying, maybe if somebody calls in the offseason?
Well, I mean, it's certainly like the injuries. The shoulder injury was the big one. Certainly having that was not the easiest thing to deal with. So I, wish that wouldn't have happened, but just kind of deal with it. But, I always felt like I worked extremely hard and, put everything into the game. So, when I, leaving, I don't have any regrets at all.
Well, we used to have fun with Pronkville up there, man, that second section, huh? Remember that? That was a good time.
Yep, that was fun.
Swing and a miss by Jason Castro.
So you still live here full time. You have a place down in Florida as well, right?
Yep. And we just got our place.
Get out of there in the winter. You can still do that when the kids are young. Wait till they get in school. Then it's going to be a little tougher.
We'll homeschool them for a while. I think we'll homeschool them like January to April.
Oh, well, you were a valedictorian, right? In your senior class, there was 10 people.
Salutatorian.
Yeah, right.
I slipped him a 20 to bring that up. No, it was valedictorian, Matty. Come on.
It was. He had a senior class of 1. That was fun. We used to have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Carrasco's 2-strike pitch, a little bit too tall for Jason Castro. Struck out his first time up.
When's the last time you ran into Westbrook? Have you seen him? That was good to see him because.
Yeah, it's been a couple years, and he's always been like one of my best friends, best teammates. So, we text or talk here and there, but it's good to run into him and see him and hang out.
Got him swinging a one in the dirt.
Ain't it amazing how, like, all the bad guests, you always have quick innings?
You want to stick around and do another half? Come on, you can stick around. Let's do another half. That wasn't enough. Bottom of the fourth, top of the Indians order will be coming up here. Bourne, Ramirez, and Brantley. Once again, we're visiting with former Indians DH Travis Hafner, who's here with Jake Westbrook tonight. And it was interesting you were talking about staying in touch with Jake. What about some of the other guys you played with? Oh, you played with CeCe last year, right, in New York. That had to be fun to get reunited with Sabathia.
Yeah, it was good to have one of my old teammates there with me, kind of help get you comfortable to get out the start there.
How strange was that for you after all the years here in Cleveland? Great memories. You go to a new team and boom, you end up right back here. Was that opening day? Was that the
home opener? Yeah,
the home opener. Yeah,
3-run jack straightaway center, huh?
It was it was really, really strange, but it was good to come back and see everybody. But it was definitely odd, being in a different uniform. But that's part of the game.
Yeah, coming up from that side, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Well, and one of my great memories as an announcer was Rick and I. The first year we worked together, it was 2007. And that postseason when you guys beat the Yankees and beat them here in Cleveland and went to New York to clinch. And the last postseason game ever played at Old Yankee Stadium was an Indians win. And that was tough. What was that like for you guys going through that now that you have time to step back and look back on it?
It was phenomenal. I mean, the adrenaline that you get and just like the focus that's on every pitch. I mean, you're focused every pitch during the regular season, but it's almost like 5 or 6 times that in the playoffs, and you get so worn out from those games. But I mean, you're riding a high the whole time, and that Yankee series was phenomenal. To go in there and clinch it there was really, really special.
You get the game winner here. Was it off Jabba? You had the game-winning hit here, and
it wasn't Jabba. I think we scored a couple off Jabba to maybe tie it, and then I don't remember.
Luis Vizcaíno, maybe.
Yes, good call.
Well, then we had the opportunity. Had Boston down 3-1 with Francona managing, and then we couldn't close the deal, and we had CeCe, Carmona.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Well, you got to talk about it. Now Francona's sitting here. They ended up going on, and they ended up winning the series. But we had the opportunity. That was there. That was fun too.
Yep. The big one was that home game, Game 5.
Yeah.
That was one that we knew was really important and came up short.
Beckett started that game for them.
Oh, he was unbelievable that night, too.
Yeah, he was good. He was
then
really good.
Game 7 in Boston, we were right there.
Jake started that one, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know we didn't come out on top, but it was still
an unbelievable. It was a great year.
It really was. It was a great year, an exciting series, every one of them. Yeah, but you don't realize how difficult it is to get there now. You get there, you got to soak it all in, and you got to remember everything.
Yep, and I remember after that season, just we had the same core back, and it was like, we're going to do this, the next 3, 4, 5 years, and unfortunately, it didn't work like that.
It just never happened. Yeah, CeCe was Cy Young that year, and then Cliff Lee ended up getting it the next year.
Yep.
But then, things happen. Victor's gone. You end up making trades, and boy, oh boy, you're right. It's tougher to do in baseball now because guys change.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here we go, right here.
You ask and you shall receive with these guys. There you go.
Gapper.
Kenny Lofton. There you go.
Kenny came back that year, too.
Vizcaíno, 52. Let's not forget him.
DeLucci, David DeLucci there. In the dog pile.
Got the beard working.
Yeah, good times.
Jose Ramirez is out on strikes. 2 down here in the 4th, and Brad Peacock has now struck out 3.
You told me this guy had troubles early in the game.
I tell you what. Remember, Katie said first inning.
Where's Katie? Where's her scouting report? She got a bad report.
Well, he gave up a single to Jose Ramirez in the first inning, and that's been it so far. So
I was hoping I'd come up here and bring some runs for the home team.
Yeah.
It's not over yet. Got
2-out rally. How about the year my boy's having right here?
You've seen him. You watch him a lot. You
watch
pay
him
attention.
a lot, yeah.
I'll tell you what, he's a good hitter, isn't he? He's fun to watch. Really patient. And he doesn't change his approach. When it comes to driving in runs, if we can, I know we get 2 outs, you always ask. When it comes to driving in runs, you have to be a little more patient against the pitcher instead of being out there and being a little more aggressive.
I think you're just always kind of ready for a good pitch to hit, that might be the first pitch.
Right.
Sometimes you might not get a good pitch until 3-2, and that might be after you fall a couple pitches off. So
one hop chopper to short, and the Tribe goes 1-2-3. Well,
no luck, Bronk.
We're out of time.
You're released.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Good to see you guys.
Former Indians hitter Travis Hafner, still no score through 4.
Thanks. You can go back and fill it.
Indians baseball is brought to you by the all-new Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more.
Beautiful sunset out over Lake Erie. So far, each team just one hit on the night. And we go here to the 5th inning. Marwin Gonzalez to lead off. Gonzalez holds those hands low just above the belt.
Well, you would think then he's going to have a tough time catching up to something belt high or above. That usually if you start him low, you're gonna cock him back and get him in a hitting position. He grounded out to second his first at bat. Let's see how they go about it. Looks like they threw him a changeup first pitch, I thought. No, he cut up to that heater.
He sure did, and he hit it out of here, and the Astros have a 1-0 lead. 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and he turns it around for his 6th home run of the year. And the Astros home run binge continues as they will play from in front tonight.
Good thing Hafner left, who would have blamed him.
It's their 55th home run since July the 1st.
Oh, you talk about quick. Watch those hands to the hitting area. He went back and got to that 96 inside. And you knew as soon as that ball left the bat that it was going to leave the park.
31st home run in their last 23 games. Now John Singleton called out on strikes his first time up.
It's all right. Solo home run. One hit. No rally. Come right back and go back to work.
Fastball strike on the outside part of the plate evens the count of 1-1. That's hit hard. Deep right field, but back goes Dickerson to get it. One away.
Well, follow every Indians game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, audio scores, the free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com. Well, that run stopped a string of 16 innings for Carrasco. A shutout streak.
Yeah, first run he's allowed since going back into the starting rotation. Now the 0-1. Slowly chopped up the middle. Ramirez guns it over, and Santana does a nice job to pick it out of the dirt. 2 away.
Well, he gets over there. Santana picks him up on the back end. Little backhanded play. Well done.
Jake Marisnick, an infield single in the third inning. Bats with 2 down, and the base is empty here in the 5th. He hits one to right field. Back goes Dickerson. Onto the warning track, makes the catch. Couple of deep fly balls to right, and one of them gets out of the yard, and it's now Houston 1, Cleveland nothing. For a second screen experience. You can chat about tonight's game with Joe Reedy and keep up with everything Indians. Indians down a run. Carlos Santana, Jason Kipnis, and Zach Walters due up for Cleveland here in the 5th. Now the 1-1. And called a strike up and away. Santana not in agreement. He's down on the count now, 1-2. Normally that's not a strike. Down in the dirt.
He was able to get inside on Santana in that first at bat. He grounded to first. Going to try it again.
Ran it upstairs and strikes him out. 4th K for Brad Peacock. One down here in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, 10,000 fans will receive a Terry Francona jersey courtesy of Northeast Ohio Media Group. That'll be tomorrow night. They will continue this series against the Astros. And Pierre's Ice Cream will have a Van Halen's fireworks show after the ball game. You can visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Now Jason Kipnis looks at the ball down and in. Brad Peacock's father retired as a police officer down in Florida after 31 years on the job. He was 54 years old at the time. And one of the reasons he retired was that he wanted to be able to watch his son pursue his dream of playing professional baseball. So Dad bought one of those utility trailers that you'd maybe see a landscaper carrying gear around inside of. He traveled around and he slept in that.
Wow.
He would follow Brad anywhere he was playing, whether it was in Sacramento, California or Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And he just set up shop wherever the ball games were. Sometimes he slept in the parking lot of a department store. Sometimes he'd find some friendly folks on the road, say, you can crash in our backyard with your trailer.
He was a roadie,
That's
man.
right.
He was a roadie. And that's not an easy thing to do when you go follow kids in the minor leagues.
Oh, because they're all over the place. Well, Brad Peacock is pitching a gem so far here tonight. Second time through the order. He's retired all 5 that he's faced. Now Zach Walters. Curveball misses down low.
Well, you got to go back to June 27th, and he went 6 2/3. That was against the Tigers. Every other thing is 5-5.
And that was a heck of a start, too. He gave up 1 earned run against Detroit. So that tells you that when he's on and he's got his stuff, he can be very effective. It's just that he's had some games this year, and a lot of them where he hasn't had his stuff. 3 2/3 against Oakland, 7 runs on 7 hits. Walters drives it to deep right. Goodbye. Zach continues to mash the baseball. Home run number 5. And the Indians tie the game at 1. Boy, this guy keeps swinging the bat like this. They won't be able to get him out of the lineup.
Yeah, he's certainly going to get his at-bats. I don't care if it's DH, but he picked on a breaking ball and hit it a ton. Watch it hang. He left that one upstairs. Boy, he stayed back on it 75 miles per hour on this curveball. And he says, see you later. Boy, a pretty swing there, and we have a new ball game.
3 straight games with a home run now for Zach Walters.
He did the same thing in Minnesota. Down 1-0, comes right back after the solo home run and matched it.
Yeah. Now Lonnie Chisenhall trying to bloop one into center, but coming on to grab it is Dexter Fowler, and the inning is over. But Zach Walters continues to make his presence felt here in this Indians lineup. He goes deep, and we're back to even at 1 apiece. Brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Not much to recap for you tonight. 2 swings of the bat. One by Marwin Gonzalez in the top half of the 5th. His 6th home run of the year. Then on the bottom of the 5th, Zach Walters homers for the 3rd straight game. And that's been it so far. 2 hits for Cleveland, 2 hits for Houston. He's hit 5 homers since coming to the Tribe. All 5 of them have been meaningful.
Yeah, think about it. All solo homers, but they've all meant something. 2 of them now back-to-back. He's been able to come back and tie the game up. The other times he's given them the lead.
Swing and a miss. Well, the other thing, too, is think back to the first game in Minnesota. He had the game, the hit. He had a 2-run hit in that 2-run single in that ball game.
Yes.
You know, I mean, so he's had a lot of big hits. Really like the way he swung the bat. Robbie Grossman strikes out. That's 7 strikeouts for Carrasco, and we bring in Katie with him now, as she has more on Jose Altuve as he steps into the batter's box.
Well, a guy who knows Jose Altuve very well is Indians bench coach Brad Mills, who used to manage the Houston Astros. He said, couldn't actually say enough wonderful things about Altuve, but he said to get to know him better, you got to know his story. So scouts go down to Venezuela and they give players 3 days in which they can show what they can do in games against one another. At the end of each day, they make cuts. Well, day 1, Jose Altuve gets cut because he's too small, doesn't have the size. You're not supposed to show up the next day if you get cut, but the next day, Jose Altuve is there sitting in the stands, and wouldn't you know it, that was the day that they were 1 player short. So the scouts walked over, asked him if he wouldn't mind playing in the second day's game. He went on, exceeded expectations, impressed them so much that at the end of those 3 days, ended up getting an offer. And Brad Mills just said, you know, that story in itself shows the type of individual that he is and the player you've seen this year.
Grounds it to short, and Jose Ramirez throws him out. I just can't imagine, Rick, being 16 years old and trying out for a professional baseball team. I mean, most 16-year-olds are in high school. They're trying to fit in with their peers, maybe trying to impress their high school coach to play on the varsity team. He's trying out for pro scouts.
Yeah, let's go. I want it. It's an opportunity, yeah, to get it. I mean, it's a dream. Doesn't matter the age now. Whether they make it or not is a long shot.
Now that's why I think scouts, to me, are so impressive to me, because how can you look at a 16-year-old kid and project what he's going to look like in 4 or 5 years?
Well, they do it, and they can do it well.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do.
It's a talent.
Yes, it is.
And it takes years of.
Anybody can spot the guy that's, the superstar, the stud. He just walks around. He's the best guy on the field. That comes without saying.
The guy that tips the field usually stands out.
Absolutely.
Swing and a miss.
It's those ones that they fall between the cracks and you don't know, and you can't see what's inside them, the heart, the soul, or the way they were brought up, the way they. And that's what it takes once you get into the minor leagues, and to get to the big leagues, it takes a lot of personality.
The 1-2. Just missed outside with it. I always am impressed by scouts who tell stories about, went and saw a guy play. And they have to see so many players play and scour so many parts of the country. They may only get to see a guy play in one game.
Right.
But they'll tell you there was something that he did in that one game. There was one thing he did that I wrote it down.
Stood out.
It stood out. And they may go back to that later and say, remember
it may
that?
not have been a hit. It may have been something he did on the bases.
Right.
It may have been a play he made in the field, or what he did in a cutoff or a relay.
But it was enough to catch his attention. And it might lead to something down the road. You never know. 2-out walk to Carter. Brings up Dexter Fowler, who is 0 for 2. second walk issued tonight by Carrasco.
Send along our birthday wishes. Alfred Rattini of Newton Falls is 91. Ralph Kochenman of Dover is 90. Happy birthday to you both. And our own D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, celebrating his 47th. So,
yeah, D-Man, 47.
He didn't have his birthday suit on today.
Is he here or is he home watching on telly?
No. He's here. I saw him today. But tomorrow he's really going to be torn. He's got a lot. He'll be taping. I don't know if it's baseball. He'll be at football. Who knows?
He's got arena ball.
Yes, he does. He's got all three.
Browns, Indians.
Well, he may be in all three spaces.
I didn't get a chance. We forgot to ask Travis Hafner. But Travis is going to be tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. For those of you fans out there who love baseball history and maybe want something to do, it's a free event. League Park rededication ceremony is going to start tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And as part of the ceremonies, Travis Hafner is going to do a little home run hitting contest. He's going to dress out in the old 1920s Cleveland uni.
I love that uniform, too, by the way.
Yeah, so head on out to League Park tomorrow if you want something to do in the afternoon. 1 o'clock, ceremony is going to begin. And it's free to the public. Beautiful.
Andre Thornton's going to be out there.
Yes, he will. Bobby D will be there for the Indians.
Mark Shapiro.
Yep.
They renovated. You said they have a turf field there now.
Turf field, and the fences are to the original dimensions of the ballpark.
Visions of Babe Ruth.
Wow. Babe Ruth I think it was his 500th career home run at League Park. And, League Park had, Green Monster and Fenway, legendary. League Park had a right field wall.
Right.
That I want to say was 48 feet high, which is, what is Fenway? 39, 40? It's right.
38.
38. Okay, 38. So it's about 10 feet higher than Fenway's was.
What was it, protecting the houses over there?
I'm not sure why.
Field line.
Might have just been the plot of land the way it.
True.
Swing and a miss. Fowler strikes out Carrasco. Another terrific performance. He strikes out 8 here tonight. Gives up 1 run, and we are tied at 1.
Fans will receive a Michael Brantley bobblehead, and that'll be on Labor Day. The Indians will host the Tigers for the final time at Progressive Field this year. Get your tickets early and save. You can go to Indians.com. Monday, September 1st. So notice, 4:05 game on Labor Day.
Well, Brad Peacock has only thrown 62 pitches on the night, but he made 2 warm-up pitches, and the next thing you know, the trainer came out. And he's out of the ball game. What in the world happened there? I didn't really see anything, Rick, that jumped out at me. Let's take a replay look. He was just throwing warm-up pitches. He shook his elbow a little bit there, but I mean,
Well,
the trainer was right out.
Running. Well, I don't know if he let him know something in between innings or what. Hard to tell.
Well,
whatever it is, he didn't want to come out. He was pitching the best game he's pitched all year.
Wow. Well, Kevin Chapman, a left-hander, is going to get loose in the bullpen, and they're trying to get him to come in now because he can warm up on the field and take all the time he needs. So, wow, what a development here. He had only, as I said, through 5 innings, he'd given up 2 hits, a 1-out single in the first, and a solo homer in the 5th. Struck out 4, didn't walk a batter, was just really doing a nice job. And now he's out of the ball game as we await the left-hander Kevin Chapman. That's our Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Chapman will be coming on with a mark of 1-0. This is his 10th appearance. He's got an ERA of 10.80. But we'll see what he's got to offer when we come back. Came on due to an injury that hard to tell what happened. All we know is that Brad Peacock was dealing 5 innings.
Yes, he was.
2 hits allowed. And a good fastball and a good breaking ball tonight.
And he mixed in the changeup. He got inside on a few hitters. He made one mistake. He hung a breaking ball to Walters, and that's the only damage. That was the second hit the Indians got, but it was a run, so they were able to answer the home run that the Houston hit in the top half of the inning. And gosh, we just don't know. He was just warming up. But you know, I think with the trainer coming out there after he was warming up, he had to tell him something in between innings to at least keep an eye on me to see what's going on. He's got that stash working pretty good too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yosemite Sam like
Doritos. He's going to sell some Doritos.
I don't know. It strange.
Well, it really is, and they have to go to their bullpen now.
Well, Kevin Chapman's pitched in 9 games, Rick. He's walked 10 and struck out 10 in 8 innings.
Okay, so
and he's given up 10 earned runs.
Make him get in the strike zone. Opponent's hitting .353 off him. But it doesn't surprise you. They're coming in with a left-hander. You got Dickerson, Perez, and Bourne, scheduled hitters.
10 walks, 10 strikeouts, 10 runs allowed, and 8 1/3.
Pitches from the extreme third base side of the rubber. I mean, 3/4 of his foot is off the rubber. His toe is on the third base side of it, and that's about it. But it looks like he is ready to go. He says, all right, let's go. I need a hitter.
The batter will be Chris Dickerson.
Oh, now he wants some more.
Let's take a quick break here and go back for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pawlowski.
All right, Matt, Rick, let's head down to Texas where the Rangers had an early 1-0 lead on the Royals. Did not last. Here in the top of the second, Billy Butler leads the yard to tie it with a solo shot. KC adds 2 more in the inning. They're now up 3-1. Bottom of the second in Arlington. Matt?
All right, thanks, Al. Still waiting for Chapman here. Yeah, Gary Cederstrom out to check on the left-hander who says, I think this is it. Last pitch, and he's ready to go.
I was going to say, if he needed more than that, he should have been a starter. Just get him out there 20 minutes before a lot of those relievers get. Doesn't take long for them to get ready.
I think the only reason it might have taken him a little bit of extra time is he probably hadn't even begun to stretch yet. The way Peacock was going, he was probably sitting down there just relaxing.
Yeah, you know, you're right. You get a sense sometimes when you're out in that bullpen, you know, you see he's struggling, you get up and say, it's my time of the game. I'm going to get loose. Well, they didn't have a sense, I guarantee you that, because he was cruising.
Minnesota leads Detroit 4-1. They're in the second inning at Target Field. So the Twins rolling against the Tigers in the early going.
Robbie Ray against Malone in that ball game.
One ball, one strike. Dickerson down on the count, 1-2. The 1-2. Hit the center field off the end of the bat. Might have broke it. One away. Well, 1 week from tonight, Sports Time Ohio is back on high school football's road to glory. Tune in every Friday after Indians games during the baseball season for the biggest matchups each week. And we'll take you all the way through to the state championship weekend in Columbus right here on Sports Time Ohio.
So it kicks off next week, huh?
1 week from tonight.
Gotcha.
Hey, you know, even though this is a 1-1 game and there have only been 4 hits, this is not going to eclipse what the Astros did yesterday. In Yankee Stadium, they lost to New York 3-0 in 2 hours and 7 minutes. The fastest game in the history of the new Yankee Stadium.
That was McCarthy pitching that game, I believe.
And Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, both of them complete games.
Yeah, Keuchel went 8 because the Yankees didn't have to bat in the bottom of the ninth. How about that, though? 2 hours and 7 minutes. We're not going to get there tonight.
No, rarely. Nowadays, that's like a day off when you go 207. It's about an hour difference. Usually
we had Jake Westbrook in the booth. He's the last guy I remember that pitched a game that was
him and Burley.
Under 2 hours. Yeah. Up the middle. Kicks off the glove of Altuve. Might have got him on the wrist.
I think, got him on the right hand. I thought that ball might have had some spin or got something to it, but that ball jumped up, and it looked like it caught him on the bare hand. He was ranging a little bit to his right. And let's take a look and see where it gets him. Yeah, it caught him on a finger.
Ouch.
Yeah, it might have been the ring finger, the middle finger, where, it got him nothing but on the meat.
He was trying to slap it into the glove.
That'll be an error.
And the Indians have a one-out base runner now for Michael Bourne. Let's see if they can take advantage. He's 0 for 2 on the night. Low and away, ball one. Pulls it foul.
That boy, Sandy, don't go pick it up. Just kick it to the side.
Boy, speaking of kick, almost every time I come to the ballpark now, I see opposing teams, Indians guys, out kicking a soccer ball. Ever since the World Cup, it's...
Yep. Everybody. You're right. Every team. It used to be the football. Let's throw the football.
Yeah.
I wonder after next week, when the season starts, they start throwing that around
It's
again.
just Katie. Katie, I think she's
got an impact on that?
I think she's been rolling soccer balls out there on the field before games, trying to spread the soccer gospel.
To the visiting teams, too?
Yeah. 2-1 pitch. And a strike is called. It's 2-2. Minnesota now leads Detroit 6-1. So they're taking it out on Robbie Ray tonight. 2-2. Close, but Bourne just leaning back out of the way. And a full count.
You see this pitch started inside, almost at him, and by the time it comes down, it wrapped around the plate.
Robbie Ray knocked out of that game after an inning and a third for Detroit. They're already into the bullpen. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. Bourne strikes out, 2 down.
Well, the best deal in town for families is the KeyBank Kids Value Ticket. It's available every game. Each kid receives $15 for free to use on concessions or merchandise. Visit Indians.com/kidsvalue and purchase your tickets today.
Tampa Bay had 1 hit yesterday against Detroit, but it was enough to get them a 1-0 win.
And they're rolling today, aren't they?
Pounded out a dozen against Toronto, and they lead 7-0. Outside.
Yeah, that was David Price against his team that drafted him. #1 pick in the draft, and Alex Cobb got the best of him, huh? But he gave up just 1 hit.
They trailed Toronto by 3 games in the Eastern Division standings going into this weekend series. 1-1 pitch. Oh. Castro flips to first, and the inning is over. 6 complete. It remains a 1-1 game. by AT&T. And remember, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have your picture shown during one of our telecasts. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Nick Hagedorn will come on to pitch here in the 7th. 1-1 ball game.
Well, another good start for Carlos Carrasco. You look at his numbers now in his 3 starts since getting inserted back into the rotation. 18 innings, giving up 1 earned run on 7 hits, 17 strikeouts and just 2 walks. So Hagedorn now,
yeah,
going to try and keep it. Another good start.
Nick Hagedorn has really done a terrific job in a lot of ways. You look at Hagedorn and Carrasco, 2 guys with dynamite arms that the Indians have been patiently waiting for. And Carrasco looks like he's certainly turned a corner, and maybe Hagedorn has too. This is his 24th appearance, and his ERA is at 1.47. Only 4 walks, 19 strikeouts. And the opposing hitters are batting just 185 against him.
I think the difference for Nick as well is the command. You know, keeping the ball in the strike zone, throwing strikes.
I know you've said if he ever develops the ability to throw his breaking ball consistently for strikes,
oh my goodness,
then he'll be a wipeout. Forget about it.
Well, how many left-handers do you see throw as hard as Hagedorn? I mean, that's hard to do. You're throwing 95 miles an hour, and you've got a nice curveball. He doesn't need but the 2 pitches. Command your fastball, and when you get to a left-hander, if he's on it, then you can throw him a breaking ball. You know, you're only going to get 1 look at him. And we continue to say these guys keep coming out throwing 95 or 95, 96. It's tough to catch up to it.
It's amazing how I guess you and I just kind of get callous to it because we see it every single day. But it's starting to really jump out at me how many guys come in that don't watch every single day, and that's the thing that they come away with. Like, every guy that comes out of the bullpen's 95, 96.
There it is.
Travis Hafner said it tonight.
Right, he did before he left.
Nick Hagedorn strikes out Castro, 1 away. It's 9 strikeouts now for Indians pitching.
Now watch this.
This is the breaking ball.
You don't have a chance if you're left-handed. He's throwing 95, and you can throw that for a strike. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you hit it, I'll tip my cap. But I'll tell you what, you're not going to hit it. Look at that. You can't even swing. Great pitch.
Marwin Gonzalez, he hit the home run in the 5th inning. He's a switch hitter. He belted the homer from the other side of the plate.
Isn't it funny how he has his hands
completely
from this?
Different hitter.
Yes, it is. It's 2 different hitters, exactly. Hands down on the left side, down around his waist. Up here, they're up at his shoulder on the right-hand side.
Boy, and with his hands down low from the other side, he was so quick to the ball.
Yeah, he was.
I'm almost guessing he's a natural right-handed hitter who taught himself to hit left-handed because he's got moving parts right-handed. He looks nice and smooth and free. But watch him from the other side of the folks.
Yeah, there you go.
Plate, folks.
Right from the waist, up, the high kick, and boom. That's a guy you don't want to really pitch inside because he's so quick to the ball.
He's so quiet from the other side. No, he's got movement, fingers are moving, bat's moving.
I guess everything's okay, movement, if you get to the baseball as quick as he did from the other side of the plate.
Hits it on the ground to short, and Jose Ramirez throws him out, 2 down. Well, Carlos Carrasco finally gave up a run as a starter since coming back into the rotation. He had back-to-back shutout efforts, but he was sensational again. 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, I think he was throwing a little harder tonight at the start for some reason. You know, because he was in the first inning or two, we saw a couple of 98s.
Yeah, 99.
99. And it seemed like he was a little harder, but then he reeled it back in, got the command, had that nice slurve working again. Another good start for Carlos. Got to love it.
Good fastball for a strike to John Singleton, who was 0 for 2.
He had 8 outs, almost 3 innings, 3 pitches or less, again, in his start. Ahead of hitters on the 0-2, 1-2 count as well.
What'd you say, 8 out of the 18 or 9?
8 out of 18, 3 pitches or less.
Yeah, so
he had 9 0-2, 1-2 counts.
He was 18 out of 36 coming in, so he's still right around that, almost 50% of the batters faced. Or 50% of the outs. He's getting them quick. The 1-1.
Got to send along another birthday wish to Carrie Burke, who is celebrating her 47th. We know her from a long time. Yes, Miss Face. Happy birthday, wherever you're at, celebrating tonight.
And her husband, Tony, wanted us to tell Katie more footballs, less soccer balls.
That's true. He did say that, didn't he?
3-1 count for Singleton. That was my best versus your best, 96, but he kept it in. Didn't give him a lot of swinging room.
Well, there you go. You're not going to walk him. He tried to untie this game. One big swing, comes up empty.
Swing and a miss. He went right back at him with the fastball and struck him out. Another 1-2-3 inning for Nick Hagedorn. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. He's overstuffed Cam on a beautiful Friday night. 1-1 our score. Bottom of the seventh, it will be Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana, and Jason Kipnis to face Kevin Chapman, who worked a scoreless sixth inning. Michael Brantley 0 for 2 on the night. And an inside corner called strike. And it's quickly 0-2. Brantley gets a piece of it, stays out in front of the plate. Castro throws him out. Time for another Mazda game break. Let's go back to the studios and Al Pulaski.
Hey, man, up at Target Field tonight, Robbie Ray did not make it out of the second inning. The reason why, the Minnesota Twins scored 6 runs in the second, capped off by this Danny Santana 2-run homer, his 6th of the year. Twins a big lead early, 6-1 over Detroit. Matt?
Timeout for a pitching change here at Progressive Field, as Bo Porter will go to his bullpen with 1 out, bases empty in the 7th in a 1-1 game. Carlos Santana to the plate. And Houston goes to Josh Fields to turn Santana around and bat him left-handed. You see Fields' numbers on the year. One ball, one strike. Josh Fields was originally a first-round pick of the Mariners back in June of 2008. Actually, if you go back before that, he was drafted by the Atlanta Braves, and that's his hometown team. He grew up in Georgia. Pitched for the Bulldogs, but just didn't like the way negotiations were going, so he went back to school.
It's a nice little change-up there. Started him off 95-mile-an-hour heater in and then went change-up away.
Seattle made him a first-round pick in 2008. And 3 years later, he went to Boston as part of the Eric Bedard deal. And then the Astros made him a Rule 5 pick. And he spent last year in Houston's bullpen. Swing and a miss. He strikes out Santana.
Boy,
2 down.
He didn't mess around there. He overmatched him. Well, it's a dollar dog night tonight. And guess what? We've got another dollar dog on tap for you. Friday, September 5th, the Indians will host the Chicago White Sox. Dollar dog all night long.
Right forearm discomfort, the reason that Brad Peacock left tonight's game for Houston. The starter came out after throwing a couple of warm-up pitches last inning. And was replaced by Kevin Chapman, who went an inning and a third scoreless, and now Josh Fields. Jason Kipnis 0 for 2. He's hit in 6 straight games for Cleveland. Upstairs. Oh, my. Called strike. 1-1.
He's been calling that tonight. He's done it a number of times. You're going to see it's a pitch that looks up and away. And he has called that consistently tonight. That's the top of the strike zone. You don't see a lot of guys calling it, but for Gary Cederstrom, that's his top of the zone.
And a line drive base hit into left field.
That was a nice swing.
Jason Kipnis, a 2-out single, keeps the inning alive for Cleveland. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Zach Walters in the last 3 games has hit not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs. His third coming tonight, back in the 5th. Last 2 home runs have tied each game, respectively. Giving him 5 in his short time with the Indians.
Off to a great start, huh? Coming over to a new ball club, getting an opportunity. And he hasn't, as you mentioned, played the field, but a couple of times. But as a DH, he has certainly done a lot. There's Brent Strom, isn't it? Their pitching coach. He was back with the Indians a long time ago when I played. Played in AAA with him. Left-handed pitcher. Been in baseball a long time.
Well, he's probably given Fields information on Zach Walters, as they have double barrel action, including Tony Sipp, the former Indian, and Jose Veras, also the former Indian. Brent Strom, any other former Indians, please stand up. Walters with a chance to maybe do some 2-out damage here in the 7th. Kipnis with 17 stolen bases on the year. This is one of those situations you talk about late in the game. You'd love to see him get into scoring position here.
Comes back with another breaking ball. Well, you check the move of Fields and you see, because Kipnis is a good base stealer. You give this guy an opportunity because he's swinging a pretty hot home run bat right now. Give him his chances. He get to 2 strikes. Then you may want to help him out a little bit. I want a fastball up. It's a good idea. That's a good pitch. He has a good fastball, 95. Now, you know, with 0-2, if you want to try to steal a base, Houston can just go ahead and try and throw a fastball up and away and make it sort of like a pitch out for an easy throw if you think Kipnis may be running. Doesn't have to be a pitch out. You may get a swing as well. Fastball, give it up.
Well, he just missed. Walters had a pretty good cut on that one.
But this guy, he swings the bat. He's very aggressive. And you'll see him. He takes healthy cuts, but he's a low ball hitter that he has a tough time, as most hitters do, getting on top of the high fastball. Take a good cut and foul it off. That pitch just had to be a little bit higher than where he threw it if he wants to get him to swing and miss. See if they come back with it or change the eye level. Does that go to first? Sort of like a pitch out, maybe. That might be a pitch out. That's got either. It's either a pitch out or throw to first. One of the two.
Here's your up and away fastball.
Okay, yeah.
Walter's able to hold off. But that's the pitch they wanted, just in case Kipnis was going to take off.
That's what you can do when you try and set hitters up and do things like that when you get ahead in the count as a pitcher. You know, you've got a guy on first base. You don't have to pitch out there if you think he's going to run, and you give your catcher an opportunity. You can't do those things when you fall behind. Now let's go back to work. He's going to change his eye level and come back with a breaking ball. This is
what a jump by Kipnis. Bounced in front of the plate, and he steals it standing up.
He had 3 steps. He took off and was caught. That's a scary feeling when you're a base stealer, because he didn't even pick up his foot yet. Look at Kipnis. 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 steps, and he threw the breaking ball. He didn't even see him. So it's a good thing it wasn't a strike. Look at that. Right then and there, you're figuring, oh, please don't go to first base. So he's in scoring position. Stolen base for Kipnis, 18th.
The 2-2. Upstairs again. Tell you what, terrific at bat here for Zach Walters. Gets down on the count. You're trying to get him to chase one, and he's been able to hold back. Lonnie Chisenhall waits on deck. Might be the last pitch for Fields here. And the 3-2. Breaking ball, got him looking. So the Indians strand a runner in scoring position here in the 7th, and we stay tied at 1.
Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. One our score as we go to the 8th inning. Remember to stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care, coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. For the Indians, Brian Shaw coming into the ball game now. Shaw for the 62nd time this year. He's 4-3, 2.51 ERA. He's walked 16, struck out 47 in his 57 1/3 innings of work. He's got Matt Dominguez, Jake Marisnick, and Robbie Grossman, the three hitters due up. Dominguez was a former first-round pick of the Marlins back in 2007. Pops the breaking ball up. Left fielder Michael Brantley gives way to Bourne, and the center fielder has it one away. Tomorrow afternoon, it's the Giants and the Nationals on Fox Sports 1. Then the Indians square off against the Astros on Sports Time Ohio. Coverage begins at 3:30 on Fox Sports 1 and continues at 6:30 right here on Sports Time Ohio. Jake Marisnick. And threw it by him, 0-2. Marisnick, a high school product out of California, had committed to play baseball at Oregon, but eventually was drafted by the Blue Jays and signed on the dotted line after they made him their third-round pick. Brian Shaw strikes him out, 2 away. It's 11 strikeouts now for Indians pitching tonight.
You see the cutter right there from Brian Shaw. Gets the swing. He got a piece of it. Went right into the glove of Perez. Made quick work of him.
Robbie Grossman bangs one on the ground to second. Kipnis flips it to first, and the Astros go 1-2-3 on just 6 pitches here in the 8th.
Tony Sipp will make his first appearance against the Indians as the former 45th round pick of the Tribe, who spent his first 4 big league seasons pitching for Cleveland, will come on now for Houston, his 44th appearance of the year. Tony had great success here in Cleveland in 248 games with the Tribe. 131 of those came here at Progressive Field, a 2.76 lifetime ERA in this ballpark. He'll face Mike Aviles, who will pinch hit for Lonnie Chisenhall. As a pinch hitter, Aviles 0 for 8 on the year.
Looks like he's holding that ball with a split grip now.
And a fastball up and away, ball 1. Opposition is only batting $151 off Tony this year. Breaking ball in there for a strike. His first 9 appearances for Houston this year, he did not allow a run. He was with the Padres early in the year, but he was in AAA. And he asked for his release. And the Padres said okay, and he signed 1 day later with the Astros.
Yeah, he had his opportunity over there in Arizona. It didn't pan out for him there. Went to the Padres, and then you realize, hey, man, I've got to get it back. So he has an opportunity here, and he's pitched well in Houston. Whether he's a matchup guy or whatever.
Right back up the middle and just by Altuve's reach. Aviles aboard with a leadoff single, his first pinch hit of the season.
Well, if you got to hit a line drive, a low liner at somebody, you might as well make it Altuve, because that's the one guy. He made a good effort, but just over his. Look at the jump. Can't get any more. That was good effort. Great effort right there. But a base hit for Aviles. And out comes Bo Porter. And you get the pinch hitter Holt.
Doesn't look like a pitching change visit to the mound. Looks like maybe just want to talk strategy here or what they want to do. If the bunt play is on, how they're going to go about it. Can read his lips. We have one play here.
Yeah, they want to get an out. Yeah, that's what he's telling. He's setting his defense, saying, let's go. Here you go. If he bunts, we want to get that one out. Unless, he makes a bad bunt, then you go ahead. You can go ahead. Get
for the lead runner. Yeah.
But what he's telling you is the bottom line. I want an out. Holt had the big pinch hit in Minnesota to drive in a pair to give the Indians the lead when they came back from a 5-0 deficit in Game 1 of that series.
Throw to first. Holt does not tip his hand, though you do expect him to square here.
Yeah, and Sipp doesn't have a good move to first base either for a left-hander. But you're right. They're just trying to get him to show his cards.
Singleton charging hard from first.
Nice.
Sipp jumps off the mound. He's going to second base. Not in time. That's exactly what Bo Porter did not want them to do, and they did it anyway.
Thank you. No kidding. I mean, that was a great shot. Look at him. He has got to be fuming. He went out there and told them, well, we need an out in this situation. And even though that ball was out in front of the plate, it was deadened enough by Holt. So I wonder if they give him a sacrifice fielder's choice.
I think so, Rick. I think that's exactly the call.
You know, I mean, Aviles beats it out. Good job. He knew the ball was down there. You credit Aviles for hustling. And Holt did his job, but it's a bad play by Sip not getting the one out.
When Bo Porter went out, we had a great look at it. He pointed his finger at Singleton and said, "You charge hard." And he pointed out Altuve, "You go to first and you take the throw." That's what he wanted. Singleton charge. It's just that the bunt went back towards Sip. And in Tony's mind, he thought, I can get the guy at second base.
Yeah, well, he was wrong.
And oopsie.
And now you come up again. Here we go, first and second. You got to start, and it's a bunt again. And he's got to sit down and watch his defense go to work here. Now you want to bunt this one down the third baseline. Make the third baseman field it.
Roberto Perez 0 for 2 on the night. And he takes, they got the runner hung up between second and third. Aviles.
Give it up. You got to go to second. Just run them all the way back now. Man. I'll tell you what, that was a poor rundown, too. When the catcher had the ball, he's got to run right at Aviles. That's a base running mistake. Watch, he's thinking he's going to bunt the ball, and he got caught in between. Now you run right at him. Make him commit one way or the other. He gives it up way too early, and then the throw there, running him to third base, that allows the man to go from first to second, which is a mistake. But anyway, they get the out, and there's still a runner in scoring position. So a base running mistake right there by Mike Aviles.
So 1 out, and Roberto Perez will now go to work trying to drive that home run home from second base. Tyler Holt is in scoring position. And he takes 2-0. Fouled right back off the mask of Castro. He took the brunt of that foul ball.
Well, you see a good cut on a 2-0 count, knowing the fastball's coming. He just missed it, but it went off the mask. Seems to be okay.
Runner goes for third. Throw down. Out at third. My goodness. An ugly inning for the Indians on the bases.
Well, there's one. You steal third. You got to make sure you make it. You're in scoring position. You see Perez takes he ducks the pitch, and he's thrown out at third base. My goodness.
And Roberto Perez sitting here with a 3-1 count. Had a good pitch, but fouled it back in a full count. Boy, there were enough mistakes in this inning to go around. First, you had a mistake by the Houston defense.
Yeah, that let Holt reach. Then you had a base running mistake by Aviles, and then a caught stealing by Holt. When you're in scoring position, bottom of the eighth, it's a go-ahead run. You better make it if you go.
And Perez strikes out. Whew. We'll go to the ninth. Still tied at 1. By Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care coming up after the game. We're tied 1-1 going to the ninth. In-game box score brought to you by Hyundai. Zach Walters with a homer in the fifth, accounting for the Tribe's only run tonight. They had only 2 hits, including the Walters homer, through the first 6 innings tonight. And had a hit in each of the last 2 frames, but unable to cash in. Cody Allen coming on now for the Indians after Brian Shaw worked a scoreless 8th inning. Mike Aviles is now at third base defensively. And Tyler Holt is in right field.
Yeah, not a lot of offense in this game. Just 6 hits by both teams and 2 runs, and both of them solo home runs. Now the teams were on the board.
Chop towards short. And Jose Ramirez going to throw out Jose Altuve.
That's good. Keep him off the base.
Time for a Mazda game break. Let's go back to Al.
Hey, Matt, let's head down to Cincinnati where the Braves are clinging to a 1-0 lead, and Mike Minor is clinging to a no-hitter. So we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 1-0 in favor of the Braves. Minor is throwing 89 pitches. Let's see if he can do it, Matt.
All right, thanks, Al. He's got the bottom third of the order due up.
Coming up against Cincinnati. You talk about hitting rock bottom. They have lost 6 straight.
Meanwhile, the Braves have 9 hits in that game, but just the 1 run. Three over the minimum for Minor because he's walked 3. Chris Carter is 0 for 2 with a walk. Good fastball, but a little bit off the plate, 3-0. And he walked him on 4 straight. It's almost an intentional walk. He wasn't going to give him anything, even on the plate, I don't think, to swing at. Anything close.
Well, he can leave the yard. That's why.
Dexter Fowler is 0 for 3 tonight. Down low. 1 ball, no strikes. Boy, good pitch.
Yes, it was. You go right there, down and in. Tough to pull the trigger on that one.
Swung on and missed. He chased one down and in the dirt. And he gets ahead of ball and 2 strikes.
And then he comes right back in that same spot with the hook. Boy, that ball almost hit him in the leg.
Bounce to first base. Santana goes to second, throws it away. Down to third base goes Chris Carter. And now Astros at the corners with one out on the error by Santana.
Well, like you say, you got to get an out. And unless that lane, it was high throw. He had the lane, and you see he throws it wild over the head of Ramirez. And now you give him the go-ahead run to third base. So the throwing error is setting the table here for Houston as Mickey Callaway is going to come out and have a talk. So the Indians with their first error. Now Cody Allen's going to have to dig deep and try and pick up that defense. Worst thing in that play, you just go to first base, you get the second out of the inning, and they get to go ahead. You know, the run gets into scoring position.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying. Well, he came off the bag and it looked like he had an inside lane.
It did.
To throw to.
The ball looked like it went up and away.
Just, yeah, maybe try to get rid of it too quickly.
Well, don't know.
Whatever the case,
care.
It doesn't matter. It's an error.
It's an error. They're on first and third. Cody's going to be looking for a strikeout here. On the transfer there, you'll see it in the throw. You can see he cut underneath it. And there was no chance for Ramirez. If there is no lane, you just go ahead and step on first base. Carlos knows that.
So we got a pinch runner now at third base.
Yeah, now you see they weren't going to run for him at first. Now you get into the go-ahead run there at third for a sacrifice fly or possibly a wild pitch. Whatever it may be. You got a little more speed. Well, Cody's got to dig deep.
Up high, ball one.
You know, Fowler over there at first base, he can run. He's quick. Curious here, you know, first and third, a lot of times, sometimes you'll start that runner to see if the Indians, I don't think they'll throw it through here.
In for a strike, 1-1. Checked on a ball in the dirt. Did not go. Cody Allen in a tough spot now with first and third and one out. 2 balls and a strike to count on Castro. Runner goes at first, throw down to second, and the ball gets away. The Astros take the lead, and Fowler will head to third.
They were trying to steal a run, and they did. And Perez made a bad throw at short hops.
You know, the shame of it is a good throw. They got him, and the runner wasn't going at third.
Well, he would have been coming down. They would have had to get him in the rundown, but eventually he would have made. He didn't take off as soon as the ball was thrown. Let's put it that way. See, he went back to third, and that was just a bad throw, and it's off the chest or the arm of Ramirez. They score the run, the go-ahead run. Now 2-1, and the defense has collapsed in this inning.
Infield in now with runner at third, still only one out. Downstairs, 2-2. Or full count now.
They do give him a stolen base even though he stopped. And then you give the throwing error.
Well,
that was kind.
Again, it
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
2 critical errors in the inning. after 2 critical base running errors in the bottom of the 8th. Payoff pitch. So a walk to Castro.
Infield will remain in to try and cut that runoff from third base. So 2 walks in the inning, 2 errors in the inning.
And out goes Roberto Perez.
Well, with that last error for the Indians, that gives them 99 on the year. They had 98 all last year.
Pop back foul, out of play. Up the middle. Ramirez comes home with a throw. And they're going to get Fowler in a rundown and tag him out. I thought Ramirez was going to go for a double play to end the inning because the ball was hit so hard at him, but he didn't hesitate. He grabbed it and came home with the throw.
It was a nice play because he had the range to his left, and he just comes up and throws a good throw right there to Perez, who's going to run him all the way back. One quick throw for the tag, and no runner advances. That was well done. Now they get to 2 outs.
And John Singleton 0 for 3 on the night, the batter. Swing and a miss. Good fastball by Cody Allen. Threw it right by him. This guy, though, has good power. 11 homers, 37 driven in, 10 doubles. That fastball low and at the knees inside corner. And it's quickly 0-2. Well, if Cody can get out of this, allowing just the one miscue run, then he will have done a heck of a job. Two-strike pitch. Breaking ball in the dirt gets away. And the runner scampers back to second. The 1-2. Just a little bit high, and the count evens up.
Yeah, normally you'd like to see him try and swing at that pitch, but he didn't. He took it. That's one you're not going to catch up to as a hitter.
And the 2-2. Fouled right back. In the bottom of the ninth, it will be the top of the order for Cleveland. At this point, down a run. Terry Francona hoping Cody Allen keeps it that way. The 2-2 offering is a fastball inside and a full count. Chad Qualls ready in the Astros bullpen. Cody Allen, 24 pitches here in the ninth inning, 12 balls, 12 strikes. The runners will get a head start on this pitch to Singleton. And a foul back. Again, the 3-2. Down the line. And it is gone. John Singleton blows it open for the Astros here in the ninth inning. A 2-out, 3-run homer onto the home run porch in left field. 4 in the ninth for the Astros. And they lead it 5-1.
Well, he stayed on that one. He didn't try to pull it. And you can see the power. You said he has good power. He went down the left field line for a big 3-pointer.
He's just 22 years old.
You know, that ball was probably out of the zone. May not have been a strike. But he went the other way with it.
The Astros really feel like he and Springer, although Springer's on the DL, they've got pretty good tandem for years to come. Well, an ugly inning of baseball for the Indians. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. They're down 5-1. As we look back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. The Indians did not score first, and it took them a while to get on the board. It would be a game-tying homer by Zach Walters in the 5th.
They did not keep the Astros in the ballpark either. That was the 4 of the 5 runs scored, and then the shabby defense by the Indians.
Well, look, mistakes are part of sports. They're going to happen. You're going to make physical mistakes. You're going to make some mental mistakes along the way. But, boy, tonight they came at the worst possible time for the Indians. They had 2 on, nobody out in the 8th inning, trying to sacrifice runners over. And that blew up in their face. Mike Aviles got caught off second. And then Tyler Holt trying to steal third. They wind up with not even an opportunity really to score a run in that inning. And then you go to the 9th. 2 errors. One by Santana, one by Roberto Perez. And leads to 4 unearned runs. Michael Bourne wraps one to third. It's off the body of Dominguez, and the Tribe gets their leadoff man aboard.
It's going to be an error on Dominguez. Their second error of the night. Just booted it, went off his glove. So the Indians get their leadoff man aboard.
Jose Ramirez, a base hit back in the 1st inning for Cleveland. Slowly chopped towards first.
What is he doing?
Singleton screwed up. He looked at second, never pulled the trigger, and then just kind of froze. And now the Indians have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, there you go. That's a mistake there. You just get an out there. You have a 4-run lead. You don't even look at second base because Bourne's the runner. Look at it. It's a slow hopper. Once it gets that second hop, I don't know if Qualls would have beat him over there anyway. But you got to go to first base and get the out. Well, now Porter's got to come out, and he's got to have his conversation with the boys again.
He gave him a hit?
There's really nothing they could do. He looked. I don't think Qualls would have beat him. Look at, he was slow getting off, and whatever Singleton was doing, I have no idea. You need outs. When you get down to the final 3 outs of a ball game, you got to take them whenever you can get them. Well, he couldn't. He held on to it too long. Now the Indians have a start to this inning. First and second, nobody out.
They've given him some hope. Given
Yes,
him some life
have.
here.
You give him some life. You get another man aboard, and there'll be a lot of life.
Michael Brantley is 0 for 3 on the night. And it's ball 1 from Chad Qualls. Fouled back, 1-1. Brantley trying to stop an 0 for 13 slump at the plate and give the Indians a boost here in the bottom of the 9th as they try to overcome now a 4-run deficit. Inside, he missed 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, for Qualls coming in here was not a safe situation with the 4-run lead. But it's getting interesting. You get another runner to reach. If somebody else comes in, it'll be a safe situation.
Brantley inside out toward left field. Grossman on the move makes the catch. Well, that's a big play for Houston as they get that first out, much needed. And it will bring up Carlos Santana. Santana will try to make amends for his boo-boo in the 9th inning, and that was really the big error of the inning because you had 1 out, runner at first.
Yeah,
and that's probably an inning-ending double play if he makes a good throw. Instead, the throw went into left field, and the Astros took full advantage. Down low, ball 1. Santana has grounded out, struck out twice. Two and 0. $16 of Santana's 21 homers this year have come from the left side of the plate. But all told, only 8 here at home this year. Now the 2-0. Ball 3. Jason Kipnis waiting on deck. And the 3-0. Taking all the way. It's a called strike. Now the 3-1. And that had good movement on it.
Yeah, he's taking all the way, trying to get on base. That's it, to bring that tying run to the plate. Going to lift his arms up. He's trying to get a call on his behalf. But it's a strike.
Michael Bourne, the runner at second base. Jose Ramirez at first. And a payoff pitch. Right back up the middle. Step on second, throw to first. The game is over. The Astros turn 2, and they win the series opener by a final score of 5-1. That's going to drop the Indians to just a game over the 500 mark at 64-63. Astros go to 55-74. This is a very, very disappointing defeat for the Indians tonight. Just for the simple fact that, you know, as we've talked about, you're getting to that point in the season where every game takes on added importance, given your place in the standings, whether it be the division or the wild card. And to have one just kind of slip away based on some sloppy baseball it's not palatable at all.
I'll tell you what, it's not. You gave this game away, and again, you had no offense to score to speak of. Another 3 or less runs, and I don't even think they had 5 hits. So,
well, let's take a look at our key play of the game. It's brought to you by KeyBank.
And you go back late into the ball game, and you're going to see the defense. The big play was Carlos Santana, a little hopper. You get an out in the inning. Fowler hits the ball. He throws it into left field. That allowed Carter to go to third base, set up the whole inning. They had another error following that one on a double steal. He wasn't coming home. It was a bad throw by Perez. That ricochets into the outfield. They get a run. They had 4 runs on 1 hit in that inning. So that goes to show you it just didn't work out. A tough inning for Allen. That is going to be our key bank, key play of the game.
Well, the bad news, it was ugly. The good news, they get another one tomorrow. Chance to bounce back, and they'll need to. The silver lining tonight, another good outing by Carlos Carrasco, but it kind of gets lost in the 5-1 defeat to Houston. Stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's. It's next.